Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Supreme Being. That's the podcast that I started a few years ago. Appreciate all the support over the years. First and foremost, if you guys haven't gone to my website, get on the email list. Number two, those of you seeking more support, really looking to take your game to the next level, get help building your sales skills, communication, and all the other things that I offer. Schedule your free strategy call and see how we can help you. All the links are below. Same thing with Discord, Icon Ninja's opportunity with EXP. I have a ticker going across the bottom of this video if you're watching it on video, but I also have the links in all the description of all my social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, you name it. All right, let's begin. Detachment, right? And I don't mean detachment like, oh, nothing matters to me. I don't care about anything. No. I'm talking about living your life and be able to detach from the everyday spark of emotions that you feel like you can't control and really building and creating a sense of control for your emotional state, your focus, and your ability to live this life and operate more from the perspective of self, right? Creation versus reacting and responding to the world. Okay? And I broke it down into 4 points that we're going to cover today. This is like basics, very simple. Again, there's many levels to this, but I really want to cover this as simple as possible for everybody. Okay, the first one is understanding objective perspectives and being able to attain it. So if this is something you struggle with, like as an example, right, viewing something from both sides. Somebody comes to you and says something, right? Oh, so and so was being mean to me, or they did this to me, blah blah blah, right? Before you come to a legitimate logical conclusion, you need to know both sides of the story. But what do we typically do? What are the masses trained to do? As an example, the media, the news puts something out and they'll tell you that it's not even confirmed. And what do? We emotionally respond. Why? Because we don't have the ability to have an objective perspective. So the reason this works is if you're mindful and aware about this, you have to force yourself in the moment to think and use your mind. Because you would ask yourself questions such as, do I have both sides of the story? Is it okay for me to come to a conclusion yet without knowing all the information? Well, no. You need to search. You need to find, right? And even if you can't get all the information, at least you'll be mindful and you'll tell yourself, I don't have all of the information to make the best decision. What are some possibilities, right? I'm forcing you to put your mind into think mode instead of allowing your body to just respond. This one is huge when it comes to extreme emotional reactions and jumping to conclusions. We, in essence, as human beings, need to go back into our intelligence and think and use logic and reason. Remember, thinking is not automatic. Thinking is not automatic. It's something you need to employ and utilize as a human being. It is not automatic. Most of what you think is thinking, it's just you operating on automatic mode and using something that somebody else gave you or an idea that was already planted into your head. Okay? So, bring awareness. Next thing happens, like you get cut off in traffic or something. You don't know. Maybe that person's in a rush because they have a pregnant wife in the car, or they're late and they're not doing it to you purposely, but hey, I need to make up some time. I'm going to cut people off. And normally they wouldn't do it. Again, but in the case of them having a pregnant wife, would you be upset? No, you would probably tell yourself, hell, I would do the same thing. Right? Now, does that mean that getting cut off is suddenly going to be pleasant? No, but it's going to take the sting off of it and not get you so much into your damn emotions, which is ultimately what you want, right? The whole point of detachment is to be able to be calm, poised, and tranquil as much as possible instead of being like a puppet and being pulled a million different ways, okay? Awareness, using the mind, taking objective perspective, seeing all sides if possible, all sides of the argument, and employing your thinking and reasoning as a human being. That is point one in order to start this process of being able to effectively detach yourself from situations, particularly emotionally. Okay, that's number one. Number two is this. A lot of times, right, we can't detach emotionally, mentally from a lot of things, but I'm going to give you very relevant examples right now because this is applicable across the board and there's very few exceptions to this. Okay, there are exceptions to the rule sometimes, but with this one, there's very few exceptions. A lot of times we get so attached to getting that client, going to the meeting, and oh my God, I need to do everything possible to get the contract signed, where we now become almost desperate, right? In sales, you hear the saying, "Oh, you get commission breath," right? There's overwhelming, pressure, anxiety to achieve a particular outcome. Why? Because the presupposition is there's never going to be another opportunity. There is no tomorrow. It's now or never. If I don't make this sale, I lose my house. Like, we go to extremes and we create these fantasies. Again, with very few exceptions, there's always going to be the next person. There's always going to be the next deal and the next opportunity. There's always going to be tomorrow and the next moment, assuming you keep playing the game and you engage with life. When you understand this, again, this is more philosophical than anything, but when you really at your core start to understand this, you'll take that extra pressure and anxiety off yourself. Why? Hey, I'm going to do everything I can, but hey, if I don't get this deal, I'll get the next one. It's okay. The world's not going to come to an end. Zeus isn't going to strike me with lightning. A meteor's not going to hit the earth. I'm not going to be made fun of by everybody and said, "Hi, you're a loser. You didn't get that deal. You lost that client. Ha ha." Right? But that's the story that you play in your head. This causes you to be very attached to that moment, that deal, that person, fill in the blank. There is tomorrow. There is the next person, right? You're putting so much importance on something that is a blip, a moment in a long timeline. You're foolish for doing that. That's like saying, hey, I have an obstacle to get over, but I'm so zoomed in and focused on the obstacle, I don't see that I can actually, if I zoom out for a second and look up, I can just walk right around the obstacle or drive around it instead of having to try to power through it when I feel like I have no way of powering through it. But what happens? You focus so much on that, you zoom in on it, you think this is all there is. Well, of course you're going to feel hopeless. Of course you're going to feel hopeless, right? So there is tomorrow. There is the next opportunity. There is the next deal. ... et cetera, et cetera. Take that extra pressure off yourself and anxiety and nervousness and all these expectations that you're forcing onto yourself, and unjustly. That's what's causing you to be so attached. And insert here a bunch of other stuff too. People's opinions, wanting to make somebody else proud, right? And putting everything and everyone above you, right? Which is another mistake that we make that's attached to this, very much so. Man, this number 2 was one of the toughest ones for me, and it took me a long time to kind of crack this one because this one is more philosophical. But you really have to believe this shit. Like, you have to understand what I'm like. Think about it for a second before we continue. Do you understand what I'm saying? Even if you have your back against the wall right now and like bills are piling up, right? And like you really want this next deal, or you need to do this side hustle or whatever it is, understand that even if that moment, that next thing that you think you really need doesn't work out, you'll be okay. Yes, you might be late on this or that, but like, it's not like at that moment your life is over. You have the next opportunity and the next opportunity. And as long as you keep playing the game and you don't give up on yourself in life, there's something else. This isn't the last hoorah and then your life spark and force goes away and you pass away and that's it. This isn't the last one. So why do you keep forcing that on yourself when that's not the reality of the situation? Right? This is where we become agents of our own destruction. You become your own Agent Smith, like in the Matrix, except you're doing it to yourself. When all you need to do is just focus on something else and forget it and he'll disappear. Why would you do that to yourself? Right? But again, this was more philosophical, and it might take some time and revisiting this and listening to it over and over and getting more experience to really have this one click. Okay, that one's not easy. The first one, a little bit easier because you can just be aware and start to think. But the second one, a little bit more challenging, might take you some time to crack that one. But hey, at least I planted that seed in your mind, and now you can begin to, let this one marinate a little bit in your mind. That's number 2. Number 3 is this. See the construct, man. See the construct. And what I mean by that is, business has parameters and is a construct. The general way of living and what we do day in and day out and what we're told to do and what we're expected to do is a construct. Right? Now, within this, I'm going to go over the last point here in a few minutes, but I want you to see it. Right? I want you to first see it and be aware of certain things. There's a construct, there's a way to do business, right? There's things that are going to happen. There's things that you do right, things that you do wrong. Understand that stuff as a whole. Okay? Because the more knowledge that you accumulate in regards to the construct and what you need to do, right? What are the proper steps and all that stuff? It starts to allow you to detach because you know more. You become attached and desperate and anxious and nervous, like we mentioned before, because it's like, oh, I don't know. This is why your thirst for knowledge and the acquisition of knowledge and wisdom needs to be unquenchable. And you need to be on it, especially in the categories that you really want to dominate in life. I'm telling you, you need this. By doing it, you'll learn more about the constructs and all these models and axioms and laws, and you'll naturally fall into more of an ease because you know more, right? This is what allows you and grants you the ability to anticipate, like you see a lot of high-level athletes do. You have more experience, right? Part of this is experience. The other one is acquisition of knowledge. But now you start building towards this. But by being able to see the construct and the rules and the boundaries, now you're like, okay. Understand that in some places there are no boundaries, in other places there are, right? Just the ability to see that, though, and be able to distinguish and all that, again, through the experience and the acquisition of more knowledge and wisdom. Okay, now we're living at a different level. We're seeing things that we didn't see before. And again, the higher you are up on the hill and the more you can see, the more beautiful the view is and the more that you know, right? And from that position, it's a lot easier and simpler for you to relax while you're doing what you do. Okay, but you have to be able to see the construct. I like the word construct because I'll even look it up for you guys right now just so you have the picture perfect definition. Right? An idea or theory containing various conceptual elements, typically one considered to be subjective and not based on empirical evidence, right? So we're going to add to that and say you want your subjective experience, meaning your experience, but you also want objective information, which is the wisdom and the knowledge, right? So you want to have both. But it did say an idea or theory containing various conceptual elements, right? So we've talked a lot about sales and different concepts. You need to understand and see these concepts too. And again, the more you study and learn sales, guess what? You get better at it, more proficient, you get more comfortable in it, and there's more that you can do and more that you're capable of. So now, knowing more about sales and being an expert, it's a lot easier for you to detach from the sale because you know more and you can execute, right? And you have more experience, okay? But see the construct. See the construct. Again, that one is going to take more time and experience and acquisition of knowledge, but at least you have an idea of what it is, okay? Now, here's the big one, right? And this is number 4, and I saved this one for last because it's the most important. You have to be able to identify what you can control and what you can't control as a person within your career and in your life. Because this is the biggest one, man. So many people are spending all their time and effort and focus and energy and resources on elements and things and constructs that they have no control over. Then they wonder why they're miserable. You need to focus on what you can control. You can control how much effort you give. You can control if you take care of yourself or not with your diet and your lifestyle and your fitness. You can control how much you study. You can control how committed you are. You can control if you show up every day, right? You can't control the weather, the status of whatever market you're working in. If your employer, if you have one, decides to just fire you out of the blue one day, right? If you get struck by lightning, right? If you get in a car accident, you can't control all that stuff. So why are we worried about it? What's the point of getting angry or sad or depressed over something that you have zero control over? You see? But this also feeds into people being attached. Because now you're paying time and attention and focus to something you can't control. And again, by doing that more and more, you never change anything, right? So you're going to stay in it and stay in it and stay in it. And that's how you become attached to it. And it becomes a problem. By understanding that it's something I can't control, the moment you understand I can't control it, you unlock the ability to detach, just so you know. Because now you can step away and say, okay, out of my control. True or true. And it's a beautiful feeling. Because now you finally feel the weight being lifted off your shoulders and you feel like you unlocked something that previously seemed so abstract and foreign to you. But this is the big one, man. This is the icing on the cake. Are you focusing on things that you cannot control? If you are, stop immediately. Stop immediately and focus on things you can control. Your attitude, your energy, your commitment, your discipline, your effort, right? Stuff like that. All the simple stuff that you know, right? It's obvious. I don't have to sit here and create a list and name it to you. Oh, what can I control? Pretty obvious what you can control, right? Can't control the weather. Can't control the government. Can't control if tomorrow your power cuts out for no reason in the middle of you making calls, right? I'm having issues with one of my computers at the office. It just randomly shuts down. I can't control when it shuts down. I've sent it for repairs twice, still hasn't fixed. So I'll probably have to get a new one. I can't control it. All I can control is sending it in for repairs and then using it when I can and getting a new one. That's what I can control. I can't control the problem that it's having in the error because it's a brand new computer. So why would I stress? Why would I worry about it? I cannot control that. So what can I do? Get a new one, replace it, repair it. That's it. You see how simple this is? You sit there and will fester these things in your mind and create this big drama show for yourself and other people for no reason. Then what do? You badger people and you go tell them about things you can't control. And you and that people or that group complain about a bunch of stuff that you guys can't control. And it becomes a big pity party. Oh, look at me. We're all victims of things we can't control. Stupid. That's not going to get you anywhere. That's going to spiral you downhill. Because now everything about you is just going backwards. Okay? So, being able to see something objectively, number one. Number two, there is tomorrow. There is the next opportunity. Remember that. See the construct, number three. And number four, focus on what you can control and not what you can't control. This is the beginning foundation elements for you to successfully build the ability and unlock it to be able to detach emotionally, primarily, but in other ways too, from situations. Right? If you do not unlock this, you will have limited success and enjoyment in life and everything that you do. And that's why I love topics like these, because they're universally applicable. All ages, all ethnicities, all sexes, everything. Please take a look at this and make it a priority for yourself, because if you do, over the next couple months, working on it diligently and paying attention to it, you can make leaps and bounds of improvement in this. And you'll see your quality of life will improve drastically because of this. And everything I teach, even if it's not related to this type of stuff, does improve your quality of life. But this one in particular is one of the keys that when I started focusing on it years ago, man, everything changed. And I've been focused on this for a long time, but it's one of those ones that kind of gets swept under the rug and a lot of people really don't focus on it. So get to work, focus on it. And again, if this is something that you need help with, I coach on this stuff. I lecture on this stuff all the time. Schedule your strategy call and the link below in the description and we can help you. You can find it everywhere else as well. Go to my website, get on our email list and get some free bonuses. Check us out on Discord, right? We have a bunch of opportunities for you. Appreciate you guys supporting and tuning in on this episode. We'll be back in 2 more days for the next episode. We'll see you guys. Have a good day. Peace.